TRW. The game is Stars and Bars from the Wargamer magazine number 30. It's the Battle of Perryville. Just funny because Battle of Perryville isn't mentioned at all on the cover. Obviously you have Bragg and Buell. On the cover of the magazine, the map here, Stars and Bars, you have the name on the side of the map, but again, nowhere on the map do you have Battle of Perrysville. Now, you have Perryville named, but not Battle of Perryville. Kind of funny. Let's see. I am... No commanders photos. Okay. Alright. That's my staff ride handbook for the Battle of Perryville. So just a, let's see, that's Union, Braxton Bragg, okay. Braxton Bragg. Just a nice, good, solid game. And what I would expect from the designer. So this is the 7 a.m. turn, start of the 7 a.m. turn, which is game turn 4. We have a full line of battle that's been engaged here. There was fighting back and forth. The Confederates have already lost some small, weak units. They lost an artillery battery, and they lost a detachment right there from Liddell's brigade, I think. Yeah, Liddell's brigade from Buckner's division. Other than that, the sides have been taking a fair amount of the disruption, the temporary losses. Yeah, there are two Union units there with disruption losses. You have a couple. Here's a Confederate unit, and there's another Confederate unit here, which is Liddell's brigade, quite torn up actually. One permanent loss plus 3 temporary losses, which again you add those together for 4 total losses, or I guess I should say current losses. And you subtract that from the attack and defense values. Defense value is 4, so minus 4, it is a 0 strength unit. Not good. Oh yeah, and there's one more over here. There's another. This cavalry regiment with 1 disorganization loss, temporary loss, is also a 0 strength unit. What I'm noticing is, well, first of all, the game comes with 1/2 counter sheet. Okay, so it's a low counter density game anyways. There are just not a lot of units. So these are all the Union units on the board in the play right now. These are the reinforcements that come in throughout the day. You have all of these Confederate units back here have not even been released yet. These are the only Confederate units that have been released so far. So they're released, they're fully in play. Those units are not released yet, so consider them frozen. And then the Confederates have a few more units. So I think there are a couple of these units. A couple are reinforcements, and the remainder are the optional, or I'm sorry, special reinforcement units that may or may not come in to play at all. So bottom line, that's the majority of the Confederate force, and only half of it is even released so far. This is a little less than half of the Union force, the remainder coming in throughout the day. Okay, what I'm finding is with I guess the only thing of note is reorganization table. So you have the no headquarters, which means no headquarters in range, near headquarters, which means within range of the unit's headquarters, and then stacked with the headquarters. Because of that, basically, I'm finding my units rolling on the no headquarters just as often as rolling on the near headquarters column. And so when you're looking at 5 or 6, to get back just one level of disorganization. I mean, these units just as easily have more than one level of disorganization as one. And then when you subtract one die roll, having if the units moved in the immediately preceding movement phase, which I had in this example right here, then this unit had to pull back. Well, I chose to pull back to get it into line here. So it subtracted 1 from its reorganization roll. Now it is next to the headquarters, so he's rolling on this column. But it's not unusual to be rolling on this column, and if the unit moved, it's only 1 in 6 chance of recovering just one level. So if a unit has 2 or 3 disorganization levels, and for whatever reason has to move, and is nowhere near its headquarters, it's going to be a good number of turns before it reorganizes to full strength. So that's just interesting. Disorganization is fairly significant, but again, it's small total counter density to begin with. Okay, so I think at this point I can go through a whole turn without much without many holdups. Okay, so it's game turn. This is game turn 4. A Union player always goes first, followed by the Confederate player. It's kind of easy. You have your movement phase first, and it's move any all or any all or none. On the board, the only people who have not, only units, people, the only people, only units that have not been released, that have not been released is this, which is the core headquarters, unfortunately. But these guys down here, so they're not released yet. So all these guys are in play basically. The Confederates just pulled back to form this line here. I mean, this is nice over here, but my cavalry there has 1 disorganization loss. So I think I can go. It's very significant in this game, which I really have no problem with at this scale and scope, but these are mandatory attacks. That's significant. For my unlimbered artillery, I want to really get them within 2 hexes of my targets. You can shoot at 3 hexes, but that's half strength. I'm sorry, it's not half strength. You always fire at strength 1 at 3 hexes. It's the correct way to put this. But I can move these guys up, right? So they spend 2 movement points to limber. They have a movement allowance of 6. So that's 2, and then 3, 4, 5 to unlimber again. So 5 to pack up or limber, come down off the hill, unlimber again, and get ready to fire on the Confederate cavalry there. Okay. Yeah, I think I do want to. So this Union Brigade here, 2nd Brigade. 2nd Brigade, Schulp. Was it division? I think. Yeah. It's going to go into the woods here to engage Confederate cavalry there. Now that unit is really busted up, so we're going to try to keep the pressure up. Yeah, so that's 1. You have to stop when you enter a zone of control. You don't pay extra to enter. You will pay 1 to exit enemy zone of control. Let's see. I think I want to keep a broad line. So 1, 2. These guys can. I think these disrupted units back here. I'm gonna go ahead and do something here. So maybe I'll leave the. Actually, they're kind of the same. They can be on the line. So I don't know what I'll do. I'll go to these guys 1, 2. And I'll go. What's the? I think movement allowance. Just subtract 1 from the movement allowance for disrupted units. Have the movement allowance reduced by 1 for as long as they remain disrupted. So instead of the 4, oh, I didn't put those guys back, did I? Okay, so they have 3 instead of 4. So I mean that unit, better unit is disrupted anyways. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 2, 3, and then 1/2, 1.5, and then so let's go to 1, 2, 3, and then I'll keep 1 brigade in reserve here. Okay, now I have some untrained units on the line. At least that unit. Oh, both of these units here, actually. Okay, so pay attention to that. We'll go 1, 2, and 3. Well, let's stay. No, let's go here. 3. Okay. Now, and then the artillery. Who do I want to attack? I think I want to attack. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go this way. So they limber for 2, 3, and unlimber for 2, 4, 5. Okay, that's movement. Again, significant. Stop when you enter a zone of control, and disrupted units since I have multiple units. Oh, I need to remember. Well, it's okay because I'm about to do reorganization. They both moved. They moved, so they have a penalty when they try to reorganize. This unit does not have the penalty. Now, you do have to. Can you reorganize an enemy zone of control? I'm actually going to guess you cannot. I don't know. Yeah, all disrupted phasing units not in enemy zone of control may attempt to reorganize. So the question is, So the question is, who's exerting a zone of control? Just because the unit's on the board does not. Basically, a 0 strength unit, for example, is not going to exert a zone of control. So that's just one example. So, but these cavalry are exerting a zone of control. So that unit's not reorganizing. See, that cavalry unit is definitely, that one. That cavalry unit is exerting zone of control there. So those guys are not reorganizing either. Yeah, this one, he only has 1 disorganization level, so he's at a current strength of 3. Okay, so basically, I purposely pushed my disorganized Union units up into the line because I found it more important to match the Confederate line than it was to not do that and hold back and recover those units. So that's that. Now we go to bombardment. Defender first. Defender's bombardment first. We have 1 right here. Question is, who does he want to? I guess he wants to try to disrupt. Is that unit, because that one's threatening Liddell. Actually, there is one thing to look up. Liddell right now is a 0 strength unit. So the question is, when the Union moved up there and put them in their zone of control, was I supposed to do something like eliminate Liddell, or is he repulsed, or what have you? So 0 strength units. Treated normally as long as they have defense strength. Can't attack, never enter enemy zone of control. Oh, and the other thing is he doesn't have anybody else in his hex. So he's alone in his hex and he's a 0 strength unit. So actually, you know, when the Union moved up there, he didn't have to stop because of Liddell, but he did have to stop because of Claiborne over here. Because Claiborne's zone of control would have stopped him. But if Claiborne wasn't there, Union could have actually, I believe, just marched right into Liddell's hex and eliminated him. Zero strength unit has no zone of control. This is what I was getting at. Not even in the hex they occupy. An enemy unit is not obliged to stop when moving adjacent, and one with an attack strength, which would be the case here, can even enter and pass through or retreat through the hex the 0 strength unit occupies. In doing so, it automatically and immediately eliminates the 0 strength unit from play. Okay, we don't have that. He had to stop because of the other enemy zone of control. So, a 0 strength unit may never enter an enemy zone of control unless accompanied by a normal unit, or unless joining a normal unit already in the hex. 0 strength units are always considered to have attack strength of 0. Yeah, they can attack. Okay, so does he have to? There's more. A 0 strength unit under combat, a 0 strength unit suffers the same fate as those units with which it is stacked. Okay, if alone, this is it. Maybe I have to turn the page. If alone, it is automatically eliminated if attacked by any unit with an attack strength. Okay, so I do have to attack it. And it's automatically eliminated. But here, units with an attack strength of 0 cannot attack. Actually, he doesn't have an attack strength of 0, or does he? Huh. They are eliminated if in the zone of control of an enemy unit which is not attacked by other friendly units in that combat phase. No. Not exactly sure about that, but we'll just launch an attack. I guess it's not immediately eliminated just because it's in the zone of control. But I'm not convinced of that. Anyways. To bombardment. So, yeah, so he can't. Well, he can do only. He can only do 1 point of disruption against that unit. So he might as well. Yeah, he's still going to attack. He's going to attack you. So bombard is strength of 3. It's a 2 to 3 column. You rolled a 3. That's nothing, anyways. You needed a 5 or 6. Okay, and that's all the Confederate or defensive bombardment. Now we go to offensive bombardment. Here, it's the artillery we moved up. Okay, so he's going to attack there. Alright, so artillery here is going to fire on this. Oh. Okay. I never did figure out how. Let me see if he even gets something first. Strength of 3, so he needs a 4. Oh, he got a 6. 5 or 6, I meant. So he got a 6. Okay, so he. Yeah, so this is what I was wondering. So there are 2 Confederate units in here. I never ran across, I guess, players determine. I never came across that. So, this is not good. But this is important to figure out in this game. So now we have there are 2 0 strength units sitting here in the zone of control. Of this unit, which does have an attack strength of 1. What do you do? I'm not sure. All right, let's do the other attack here. He's going to bombard the cavalry here, which is a 1 strength unit. So again, 5 or 6 rolls a 5. So this cavalry. So I have so many 0 strength units, relatively speaking. So many 0 strength units in play, in enemy zones, in control. I really need to get those rules straight. I didn't realize that was going to come up. Wasn't, yeah. So that's just bombardment. Now we go to combat phase, and again, well, I'm going to go right down the line, do a bunch of combat here. We'll see what happens. So important distinction here. I forgot about cavalry retreat before combat. So I had them retreat on the flank there. I had the Union unit. I had the Union unit, which is an untrained unit because its unit values are underlined. I went ahead. I treated the retreat before combat as a combat with an advance after combat. So I went ahead and rolled on the table. They rolled as an untrained unit that they had to advance. Then I come to the next unit here. Now I'm walking through this, right? So first I'm saying the Union unit has 1 temporary loss, which means its current attack value is 2. So it has a greater than 0 attack value. So basically it's fine as an attacker. It's just a 2 strength attacker, which is fine. Here, the Confederate cavalry is now a 0 strength unit because of the bombardment here earlier. Now, for this, then I thought about this cavalry retreat before combat. Then I checked. Importantly, you're supposed to make the decision to retreat before combat at the end of your friendly defensive fire step of the bombardment phase, the prior one. So he actually would have had to decide before the Union did their offensive bombardment, in which case they wouldn't have known the results. So that's interesting. So let's say that he would make that decision. Then he gets a disruption. So I'm just walking through this, so therefore I'll play now that he can still retreat before combat. I don't know why not. So 1, 2. This is an untrained unit as well. 50-50 chance that he must. Okay, so he, with a 4, 5, or 6, he cannot advance. So he does not advance after combat. I think I did all that right. A lot of battle back and forth, a lot of disruptions in here. I mean, the Confederates lose several more units. So I also twice I rolled just one result here, the one null result on the whole CRT. So it is possible to just have a nothing. But I'm figuring out a lot comes down to understanding the whole idea of 0 strength units.